Hey there, welcome to Let's Sit With This, a podcast for high-functioning, deeply hurting people who are ready to feel something different. I'm your host, Kristen Calloway, a licensed therapist who cares deeply about helping people heal from trauma and pain. If you're carrying a lot and tired of feeling alone with it, you're in the right place. Let's sit with this together. Welcome back. This is part 4 in our series, It Didn't Look Like Trauma. In episode 1, we explored how attachment forms in childhood and how those early bonds shape our nervous system, our sense of safety, and the way we connect with others. In episode 2, we named the quieter, invisible wounds that often don't look like trauma, but still leave an imprint. In episode 3, we looked at how those early wounds show up now in your relationships, in your work, your parenting, and the way you see yourself. And today, we're exploring what healing actually looks like, because awareness is only part of the process. The real work is learning how to gently rewire your nervous system towards safety and connection. This is the meat and potatoes of my job. It's absolutely what I love about what I get to do. It's an incredible honor and privilege to watch my clients do the hard work of healing and see how life changes for them. So before we dive in, let's take a deep grounding breath together. Feel your feet on the floor. Inhale slowly through your nose. And let it go. Great job. So here's something important and interesting that I want to mention. How a therapist believes healing happens varies drastically. It depends on their training, their experiences with clients, their theories of change, and honestly, their personality. What I'm describing today is based on my clinical training, my experience, and my personality. If your therapy experience has looked different and it was a positive experience, amazing. I love that for you. If your therapy experience wasn't as helpful and what I describe resonates with you, it may be helpful to look for a therapist with a similar approach. So I don't really do short-term therapy. My office is where we do deep healing. Most of my clients stay with me for about an average of 2 to 3 years. Plenty need longer, and there's nothing wrong with that. Sometimes clients can easily list what was hurtful and harmful about their past. Other times they come in with anxiety or depression or a pattern they can't explain. And as we explore, we uncover hidden and unrecognized pain. Within the first few sessions, I'm almost always asked, how do I get over this? Or why can't I move past this? And I do my little half smile and gently respond, you have to work through the pain before you can heal it. Wounds aren't something we can just get over. Pretending things didn't happen or don't matter anymore only freezes the pain in place. Healing is about bringing to the surface what haunts you, what continues to live in your nervous system, what wreaks havoc in your relationships, your ability to feel safe, your ability to trust yourself and others. Healing is about giving yourself corrective experiences where your brain and body learn that connection is safe, you will be believed, you aren't too much, and that what happened or didn't happen mattered. And just to be clear, we're not always labeling people the villains in your life. We can be talking about parents who really loved you and showed that, but they still missed your needs. Maybe they missed a diagnosis, or maybe they didn't see struggles you were carrying. Both can be true. Okay, so by now, you know me and my love of metaphors. So here's one I use a lot. And fair warning, if you're squeamish or snacking, maybe just pause for a minute. So I describe trauma and pain as an emotional wound at your core. It's deep and there's gravel and dirt and splinters stuck in it, so it can't heal. Sure, you can put Band-Aids on it, maybe even get it to scab over a little bit, but it keeps bleeding. And as you go through life, painful experiences just rip the scab open again, over and over. Healing is about peeling off all of those band-aids of avoidance, denial, minimization, and all the ways you've coped so the wound can actually get cleaned out and heal. Here's the good news. Your brain and body tend toward healing. They want to heal. They know exactly what to do. They just need help clearing out the stuff that's stuck in there. So, Kristen's core goals of healing. To summarize a very complex process, here are some of my foundational goals in therapy. The first is connection. We can only heal in relationships, especially when we've got attachment wounds. We need safe, healthy connections to give us healthy corrective experiences. Remember in episode 1, we talked about how infants form a secure base with their caregiver? Therapy becomes a temporary secure base. In my office, a client has to feel safety, attunement, repair, validation, and care. The things that make a secure relationship. And honestly, it hurts my heart, but it's common that I'm the first person to believe a client's story. And often, I'm the only person who's ever heard that story. Sometimes I'm the only person who doesn't get mad at them for crying or being upset. And trust takes time. It's not just cognitive, it's nervous system level trust. Their body needs to trust me, needs to see that I am safe, and that takes time. I know we've hit that deeper trust when a client sets a boundary with me, like telling me that something feels too heavy and they need a lighter session, or saying they're not ready to talk about something yet, or when they correct me if I've missed something, when they come to session and tell me about a decision or a behavior that they're embarrassed about, and the only reason I would know about it is because they told me, because they want to work on their healing. Those moments are huge. Another big goal of mine is emotional expression. And yes, crying counts. So let me just get on my soapbox for a hot second, okay? Crying is healthy. Crying is normal. It's a body function, just like sweating and sneezing and peeing, okay? Crying helps us release hormones and neurotransmitters, and it activates the parasympathetic nervous system, which calms us down. Crying is not a bad thing. So let's stop with the toxic myth that crying means you're weak. No. Crying means you're human, and that's a good thing. You are allowed to cry. You are allowed to cry for tiny things. You are allowed to cry for big things. You are allowed to cry when you're happy. You're allowed to cry when you're mad. You're allowed to cry when you're sad. Okay? Crying is not bad. I'll end there. Some clients will end up using a whole box of tissues in one session. I love that. I tell them that tissues are included with their copay. For others, I know we've hit that point when I get one lone tear. Either way, I'll take it. Crying from anger, betrayal, grief, relief, whatever it is, it's part of healing. And I can tell that clients trust me when they will cry in front of me and when they don't say I'm sorry. That's a big one. You deserve to have all of your feelings witnessed and validated. And you deserve to be able to cry and feel what you feel and express it without feeling guilty, without saying sorry, and without being blamed for it. Crying is a very good thing in my office. And we're not allowed to apologize for crying. I tell everybody that's rule number 1. Don't say sorry for crying. And the third goal is being able to talk honestly about the past. This means working through defenses, labeling the trauma, neglect, abuse, unmet needs, abandonment, betrayal. It means telling the truth about things that happened. It also means seeing the younger parts of you with compassion, the parts that learned coping skills that made sense at the time, but feel self-sabotaging now. When you can name what affected you and what hurt you, you can start moving out of fight or flight, out of disconnection and shutdown, and into more regulated states. You can see clearly which relationships aren't healthy. You can change parenting patterns and make decisions in line with your values. But we can't do any healing until we are honest about the past and about how it affected us. It's important that we name what has happened and that we name how we feel. That we don't minimize how it's affected us, that we don't stay in denial about it, but that we're honest. The wounds may leave scars. We can't erase the past, but scars fade. And most importantly, they don't keep bleeding. Those are my foundational goals for any client that comes to therapy. Of course, the way old wounds show up in someone's life varies, and the specific ways that pain is showing up in someone's life, we're going to work on those in their relationships, how they cope, what they believe about themselves. But overall, those three things, connection, emotional expression, and honesty about the past, are absolutely necessary for healing. So let's talk about something else that's important. Therapy is only 1, maybe 2 hours a week. There are 168 hours in the week. So what about the other 166, 167 hours someone is living their life outside of my office? What do we do then? I'm not the kind of therapist who piles on worksheets or assigns a ton of homework. I expect that the work we do in session to ripple out into real life. But I do want clients to be putting into practice what we're talking about and absolutely noticing patterns. So we are usually checking in on a few key areas that matter for healing. First off, those nervous system regulation skills. Grounding skills are essential, and practicing them both in times of calm, so you learn how to do it, and using them in the moment when you need them are vitally important. Clients who live in sympathetic activation in that fight or flight are working on calming their bodies down during anxiety or panic through things like deep breathing, what I call somatic mindfulness, or even some light physical activity to release the tension. Clients who lean towards dorsal vagal shutdown and disassociation focus on bringing their bodies back online through grounding, meeting basic needs, or gentle movement. Nervous system regulation is the foundation for any other change. And I tell every client, you can't do anything else if you can't get your breath and body under control and back into regulation. So that's the first thing we're always doing. The second one is noticing thought patterns and core beliefs. I always want to know what people say to themselves in good and hard moments. Our inner dialogue is usually a window into how we were treated growing up. The repetitive phrases clients carry often echo the voices of their caregivers. So naming those beliefs let us work with the protective parts that still hold pain. And I want clients to notice it and track it and write it down in the moment, because when we have distance from a hard moment, when we're looking back, we often have a different perception. We might be feeling shame, so we may minimize what we were feeling or what we were thinking in that moment. It may be really painful, and some people are fantastic at compartmentalization, and so they really have a hard time accessing what they were thinking and feeling. And so I always want clients to be noticing, what are those things that you say to yourself? What are those beliefs that come through? The next one is recognizing triggers. Those reoccurring triggers in environments or relationships are often clues to unprocessed trauma that is still stored in the nervous system. Seeing the patterns of what activates someone into fight or flight, especially when it doesn't make sense to them, or if it puts them into shutdown, shows things that are lingering and really frozen and stuck. And so sometimes that means that we may need to use some brain-based treatments like EMDR, which is one of my favorites, to directly reprocess those memories and those experiences. So just paying attention to patterns is a big one. The next one is relationship skills. This could mean learning to set boundaries, practicing healthy conflict resolution instead of escalating or shutting down, or using assertive communication to express your needs. For parents, it might look like staying regulated during meltdowns, setting limits, or managing your own anxiety. These are the skills that often are giving insight into how healthy the relationships are in someone's life, the trauma and the pain that they still hold from the past, and the difficulties will show the areas that we need to keep working on. And as clients heal, they will get better, and those relationship skills will come easier because it feels safer to be in connection. The last one I always want to make sure we're taking a look at is practical self-care. Not spa days or the unicorn things that people want to do once every few months. I'm talking about the practical ways of taking care of yourself. Sleep, physical hygiene, eating regularly, taking medications, seeking medical care when needed. These basics matter because physical health and mental health are inseparable. When someone's not sleeping well, their mental health is not going to be doing well. Sleep is vitally important. When physical hygiene is a struggle, we are going to be talking about ways to make that easier and more manageable so that we can reduce the shame. We're going to be looking at eating patterns and noticing if there are things that are off or things that are hard and seeking out the professionals to help with that. We are checking in about how's it going on your medications. Do you need medications? Do you want medications? I'm neutral about medication. I support people if they want to seek out medication as a form of treatment, and I support the people who don't. But for those who are on medication, we're talking about, hey, how are the side effects going? How's it going with taking your medications regularly? What are the barriers that are in place? I'm giving feedback if they have started any new medications, of if there's anything that I'm seeing, and helping them learn how to advocate for themselves with their prescriber. Seeking medical care is super important with clients who are having chronic pain or things that don't make sense. I'm going to be encouraging them to go to the doctor or helping them find one and helping them work through the issues that they may have with the medical system so that they can seek that care. Because healing the body helps heal the mind and vice versa. So because we do deep work in therapy, the changes will ripple outward into daily life. Clients will notice that some areas feel easier and others harder, and that's all feedback about where the healing is working and where we still need to tend to the wound. Healing isn't linear. Another one of my favorite metaphors, healing is like hiking up a mountain range. It's got peaks and valleys, switchbacks that make you feel like you're not getting anywhere, camping out until the storm passes. Sometimes it feels painfully slow. Clients often worry that using an old coping pattern or spiraling emotionally means they're back at square one. I don't believe that's possible. Once you've started healing, you can't go back to the beginning. You can't unknow the things that you have learned. Now, you can stop moving forward, or you can take a side trail that doesn't lead anywhere, but you can't erase the insights you've gained or the emotions you've uncovered. Healing is a lifelong effort. It's a marathon, not a sprint. My hope is that clients learn to show themselves compassion when they get stuck, slip back, or need to pause. Nobody does this perfectly. Boundaries are hard. Facing the past is hard. Changing patterns are super hard. But you keep putting one foot in front of the other. You're not racing anyone. There's no time limit on your path. Your path is your own, with its own valleys and peaks. And what matters is that you keep moving forward, because forward is a pace. So if you take anything from today, let it be this. Healing isn't about never slipping back or never struggling again. Not at all. We're all going to do that. It's about learning to keep moving even when the trail feels steep, even when you need to stop and catch your breath. Your nervous system isn't broken. It's been protecting you the best way it knew how. Healing means slowly teaching it that things can be different now, that safety and connection are possible. So maybe this week, just notice one thing, where you can offer yourself a little more compassion. Where can you let yourself pause, rest, or take the pressure off without judging it as failure? You deserve it. Let's take one last grounding moment together. Feel your feet on the floor. Take a slow breath in through your nose. And let it go. Notice that you're here now and safe enough in this moment. You don't have to do all the work at once. You can't do it perfectly. Slow and steady really is the path toward healing. And keep an eye out for episode 5 of It Didn't Look Like Trauma, as it will wrap up the series by talking about what life looks like on the other side of healing. Yeah, it's possible. How to keep choosing connection and how to carry this work forward in real life. I hope you'll give it a listen. Thank you for sitting with this today. I'm really glad you made space for yourself. You don't have to do this alone. Come back whenever you need to.